Get connected, Fitchburg. We're launching Fitchburg Connect, the city's new monthly e-newsletter that keeps you informed about all the events, services, and updates that matter to you. Get it in your inbox once a month. Our first edition is live now. Sign up today to get Fitchburg Connect.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
We're on. Okay, it's now 4:06 and we're calling to order a meeting of the Tree Advisory Committee. It looks like we have a quorum of 4 people, so we will proceed. First thing is approval of the minutes from last time. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve?
I can move to approve the minutes.
Anyone second?
I second it.
Everyone in favor of approving the minutes from last time, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Minutes from last time are approved. Okay. The next item on the agenda would be public appearances for non-agenda items. I don't see anybody in that category.
I'll have to ask.
The people who have submitted requests to speak are speaking on agenda items. Okay, does anyone want to propose that we approve the agenda for this evening?
I move that. Oh, there it is. I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor of approving tonight's agenda, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, we're approving tonight's agenda. All right, we'll proceed with the agenda items. And first up is Resolution R2726, approving plans and a property use agreement for Outlot 8 of the second addition to Highlands of Seminole. Now, I believe that's referring to the Kyle Steigert Greenway proposal. Okay. I believe we have some people here who would like to speak on this subject. Does it make sense to go ahead with them? Linda? Okay. Yeah. Or Anna, do you want to speak first?
No. If you want to, I think there were some speaker forms submitted.
Yes.
If you want to read those, or if anyone wants to come up and talk, they can, and then we can hear from the. We can hear from the.
Yeah, these 3. I have 3 people who want to speak on the subject. One of them being Steve Arnold.
Okay.
Did you want to come up, Mr.? Do you come sit in the center?
Yeah, right.
We're good. Thank you, members and chair. like to introduce Dawn and Jill and myself. We'll give our addresses and names. We are 3 board members of the Friends of the Kyle Stigert Greenway, Inc., and we're the applicant. So we would be happy to stay for the body's discussion and answer any questions. But we'll start off briefly with Dawn.
Hello. Yes, I'm Dawn Stigert and Kyle's wife. And I want to thank you all for having us this afternoon. And the last time that we were here was May of 2025. And we've made some very positive changes since then that I want to share with you. First, we're now an official nonprofit, a 501(c)(3), and have received our IRS determination letter for tax exemption for all of our donors. And Kyle would have turned 67 on January 8th. And to celebrate that day, we had a fundraiser, an electronic fundraiser or virtual fundraiser. And we were able to raise an additional $16,000. And so that added to the 10 we already had, gives us a nice chunk of change going forward when we want to actually start, or when we're able to actually start some construction. Also, as an official corporation, we now have a board of 7. And my good friend here, Jill Lundberg, is one of the 7 board members. And I wanted to introduce her because she's served on quite a few boards in Madison and Dane County and in Wisconsin, such as Planned Parenthood, and currently is part of the Rape Crisis Center Board. She's also a master gardener and has worked with nonprofits in making their outdoor spaces natural and native. I know you've worked with some folks in particular in helping with, she's out there, hands-on labor, so, helping environments to become more native. And actually, whatever Jill touches, the world is better for it. So I was really glad when she said yes. And tree advisory seemed like a good committee for her to join us on. In May of 25, at our first tree advisory committee, at times when we met that first time, it felt a little tense, and it seemed that possibly some of the members maybe assumed negative intentions on our part. And so I was a little stunned by that, and I am not even 100% certain of those assumptions or if they were real. But I just really wanted to take a minute to clear the air and to assure this committee that our intentions for this greenway are nothing but positive. And I hope that's evident in what's already occurring out on this land, or this small piece of Fitchburg land. My family and I moved to Fitchburg in 2001, and that space from then until recently was full of invasives and weeds. And because of this project, most of those are now eliminated, which we've had, mow downs and fire burns and things that have really freed up that space. So because of the project, most are eliminated, and that really allows the trees that are there to flourish and will hopefully allow natural habitat to grow in the future. So I just really wanted to say how much we're willing to work with the city, and as well as our contractor that the city recommended, just to make this a wonderful space that people from all around Madison, Wisconsin will ride by as they go through Fitchburg, coming on the Capital City Bike Trail. So, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Arnold. I live at 2530 Targhee Street, and I'm the treasurer of the Friends Corporation. I wanted to speak to the resolution, the agreement that it approves, and just point out a few things. The Park Commission made an amendment. Well, let me just say, first of all, that the staff memo that is in your packet spells Stigert wrong. And we have to be, there's a lot of I's and E's in there. We want to get them right. So just want to clarify that for the future. It's correct on the referral sheet. The resolution and the referral sheet refer to approving plans and a property use agreement. The agreement itself is called a property improvement agreement. I don't know whether that makes any difference or whether the resolution or the title of the agreement should be changed so that they match. And then staff had some, so the plans that you have before you are construction plans. The resolution amendment that I'm going to read in a second refers to them as conceptual plans. The conceptual plans were approved last year. And of course, conceptual plans are subject to change. But these are the construction plans. And the construction plans have a number of notes about whether something or other is typical or field located. And so things will be further adjusted as we get out there with equipment and stakes and actually and tools and actually build the path, remove the slash from the forestry mowing and try to plant grass and so on. So Park Commission was on the verge of approving this, and I recommended that since staff would like to make some adjustments to the plan, that some additional language was needed in the resolution. And so on the current version of the referral sheet, which is not in your packet, it says that the Park Commission passed this 6-0, but with this amendment. And they added a, be it further resolved, the Common Council authorizes staff to make any adjustments to the conceptual design as agreed upon by applicable staff and the project applicant. So I suggested that language, or near that language, but I would just say that it's not the conceptual design that we're changing, it's the construction plans. So with those kind of details, you can see that the plans have not changed very much. They show more detail. They show fire breaks where the prescribed burn that were developed for the prescribed burn that was done a few months ago. So those are the hashed areas. You can see that there are sequences of little blocks that are artifacts. They're just the windows around the contour labels, and they're not steps or anything, so you should sort of ignore those. And the rest is pretty much the same. There's a prairie, there's a mowed path. You'll recall the original plan, but not the conceptual plan that was approved last year, had culverts. And there was to be a path made out of gravel road grindings. That was changed in the conceptual plan that you approved, and it's maintained here, that we have a 6-foot mowed path. Prairie plantings around them, and you can see that there are tree removals, and those tree removals, I think Anna will confirm, are the dead crabapple and a family or individual swarm of box elders that we would like to remove to lighten it up. And those are the only tree removals that we're proposing. So do you have any questions on the substance of the construction plans? Or of the agreement, or of the resolution?
What's the difference between a conceptual plan and a construction plan?
What's the difference? A construction plan, and you can see this one signed by an engineer and an architect, landscape architect. There are more details. They professionally saying that this is going to meet the applicable requirements, such as land disturbing or erosion control, or that it's been coordinated with other jurisdictions, in this case, the Madison Metropolitan Sewer Authority, which has lines going through here and which will be greatly disturbing this area around 2040 to put a companion to the current Nine Springs interceptor, which runs through here. But these are the ones that Parks Maintenance and our contractors, of course, our contractors are actually the city's contractors. We donate money to the city to pay the contractors, but the contractors and city staff will use these to actually build it. Previously, the conceptual plan was to show what we had in mind, but before we got in the field and we've field located the pad that the bicycle repair stand is going to be on, that kind of thing. So another level of detail.
Just a guideline, if it's got the PE stamp, which you see here, then it's more construction than conceptual. So that's what Steve was talking about. These are the two stamps.
Anna, I would like to hear what you have to say about this proposal here. As I recall, previously you had some concerns that you talked to us about concerning interference with the infrastructure that's already there, whether Prairie is actually a good fit for the site. The fact that walnut trees would be constantly reseeding themselves. And then there's the issue of who's going to be paying for the maintenance. Those are just the things that I can remember.
Yeah, so I guess just the long story longer, you know, the site it was super invasive and et cetera, and it's not like that, you know, anymore. However, it will take a lot of maintenance to keep it decent, and that was my big concern, because you'll hear tonight, like, we're not maintaining all of our parks the way we should, and so it's like, oh wow, another project for us to do. But this agreement really does make the Friends responsible for it, which is great. And you know, I had suggested at Park Commission we don't have quite so much prairie, so the black walnut isn't quite as much of an issue, and then we have some hard stops on what's prairie and what's not. Because my fear just was that if this isn't looking great, you know, staff is going to get calls and have to, you know, take care of a lot of work out there when we already are stretched so thin. And it is a concern that since this is going to get ripped up in 2040, you know, we just want to make sure we're being smart with how we're, you know, working with the site, because the reason this is an outlot is for the sanitary infrastructure. And as Steve had pointed out, MMSD is going to rip it all up in 2040 and, you know, to maintain that infrastructure. So we just have to be aware of that and, you know, proceed with that in mind. So, and I think that's what you guys have tried to do.
Are you satisfied then that they have addressed the concerns that you talked to us about before?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because I think if you look at the agreement, it says basically that that they're going to, you know, have an account that is going to be drawn from to do the maintenance on this site. And, you know, and this is the whole, all the language with that whole thing. And then it also says in here somewhere that there's little expectation from staff on this whole thing. Which I think, I don't want to go through too fast and miss it, but it's in the staff memo, basically, you know, that we're going to contribute to this in some ways, but we are not the ones responsible for this. We're not running the volunteer days. We're not going to pick up weeds. like we can't. I mean, we have too much going on right now. I can't keep up with the volunteers that I already have. We have so many sites that we need to get to. We just can't take on another site. So, I think the staff memo might be ahead of this. There we go. So this is the staff. So this is what we would be expected to do. You know, that taking down, I think it's 8 box elder trees and a dead crab. You know, potentially doing the bike racks. You know, mowing once a year, and then there's an outside contractor that's going to do most of the prairie stuff, and so that's the thing. I mean, I was just super nervous because this site isn't. I mean, it's fine for prairie. I mean, you could make it happen, but it doesn't lend itself to prairie. Just it's a north slope. It's full of black walnut. Blah blah blah. If this group wants to pay Quercus to do that, fine. But it's not really a project we could take on because there's too many strikes against it. So.
Who's going to be doing the mowing of the path itself, like the regular mowing?
That I think you're expecting park maintenance to do.
So this has been reviewed by the Parks Director and the Parks Maintenance Director, Supervisor, and it would be added to the same routes that are currently being mowed in Harlan Hills. And so it's more work than they're doing now, but it's only incrementally more. It's not like this giant new project.
Sure, and it's added on to an existing route. Okay.
Those mowers have to get back to the Public Works garage. This is on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the anticipated staff involvement.
Anna, I'm a little confused with what you just said about prairie. You still have some doubts that prairie is suitable for the site, but you think it's okay for them to go ahead and try? Is that what you're saying?
It's too much for the city to take on, right? Like, we do establish some prairies around the city of Fitchburg, but we do it in areas that, like Oak Meadow, where we know we're kind of working with the site. We know we have a clear path to success. We don't take on sites that don't get a lot of sunlight. We don't take on sites that are so wet, and we don't take on sites that already have cover of trees typically. So that's what kind of made me nervous about this. And the original trees weren't on the plans that the grad student put together. He didn't really consider that, which is fine. I think that was probably beyond what he could do. But I think now we've got the trees on the plan, and we kind of have a little bit more of a sense of what's already there. And it isn't a blank slate. Like, there are, like Don had said, there were a lot of weeds and everything else. And there's been quite a bit of management to take care of those things. And then there was all these talk of volunteer days, and I was like, I cannot take on volunteers. Like, I just can't do it. So any more volunteers. So I think they're going to work with outside contractor instead of having volunteers do it, which is much better from a staff perspective. It's much easier for us just to collect money. You make a contract with a contractor and then inspect the work afterwards, instead of trying to recruit volunteers, supervise volunteers, call away weeds, bring all the hand tools, do all that stuff ends up being a lot of time. So I think we're kind of on the contractor route, which is fine.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that many of Anna's concerns are founded on the worry that it will fall back on her.
Because it will.
And so I hope that we have demonstrated that we are organized and funded to do this, and that it's not, as we originally intended, it's not going to fall on city staff. Now, we had intended to general contract this as well. The city has said, no, we need to be the general contractor, and they're willing to take on that level of work by administration, not the Parks Department. So I think that if you are willing to believe that we have the capability, then a lot of the concerns that Anna has are not going to come to fruition.
Are we okay with, if they have, once this is established and then they have, their group and they want to do a volunteer day in the park that doesn't involve the city. We have people that do volunteer work in our city parks without the help of staff. Is that okay? I mean, we have
It's
people
fine.
doing plantings, and I'm not going to put the person who just entered on the spot here, but
Yeah, I mean, we do have a couple groups that do that, but we do have MOUs with them. So it's pretty spelled out who's doing what. And the other volunteer groups we have, like, I'm mostly supporting them. So, which, and some of them are in the audience and know I'm not doing as much for them as they would like. So, which is how it goes. I feel kind of bad about it. But, and we've got more volunteer groups than we can accommodate. Like, we have a volunteer group that like to do some things in a woodlot not far from here, and I just have not had the time to get out there and like show them what to do, and then like bring them all the tools, and like then pick up all the weeds and do all that stuff. I mean, managing volunteers it's good. We should be doing more of it, but it is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time.
And we do have a large group of people who are willing to put in that time, and we've shared this with Eric as well, and he wanted to coordinate all that with us, so we're not just going to willy-nilly go out there and do whatever, and so that will be organized as well.
The agreement says the applicant acknowledges and agrees to perform no work on the project or use the area in any manner that is contrary to city ordinances, practices, and policy. So we will work within the city's framework. There are rules about power tools and things like that we will all follow. And I think that once this is going, it's not going to require a lot of inspection by parks supervisors or anything like that, because we know, what you're getting, and that's what we'll deliver.
No, and the other thing that I think I shared with you guys, I think this will get a lot of use. There's going to be a lot of people through here, which is great. But then if there's anything that's also sometimes a lot of phone calls like, oh, there's, whatever going on over here, get over here and fix that, and which is fine, but that just adds to the, adds to the volume of stuff we have to take care of.
While you were talking about that earlier, it occurred to me that one of the features of this area should be some signage that does direct
That'd be fine.
those kinds of inquiries to us, and we can make that happen. Committee members may be aware that there are signs out there now that say what's going on here, and they refer to a page on the Bike Fitchburg website. This was set up back during the comment period, 2 years ago now, and they've been out there ever since, and they refer to Scott Endel, but we all know that Eric will get the calls.
Yeah, I think that would be good, because I think people don't understand that it's not a city project. And like, I got chewed out by someone who was like, I can't believe you're doing this and you're not doing these other things, and this is so inequitable. And I'm like, oh, good, like, wonderful. So it would, and I think they just didn't know,
There's precedent up in along the Cap City Trail at just west of Edenberry, which is that park? Chicory Meadows Park. There's some work being done by a garden club or something like that. And they have signs there that direct inquiries to that group.
Well, no, I mean, it directs inquiries to me, but that's okay.
Okay. It directs them toward Anna.
That's okay.
Well, we'll fix that on ours.
Yeah.
Am I doing that right? One suggestion I have is maybe the signage could include, of course, the name, and then who maintains it.
Yep.
Is the foundation or the nonprofit.
QR code to donate.
Yeah,
And let them know that it's privately funded.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I think that would be a great idea. And congratulations on all the progress that you've made since
Thank
we
you.
last met. And my only concern was that I felt, because it's city property, it's not just about Anna, it's about the city of Fitchburg as a whole. And because it's city property, it made really good sense to me that everything should be approved that's going to be planted there. And trees going down, everything should go through the city forester and the park department. And
So
it
there's
sounds like you've done that, and you've worked out a plan on how to earn the money, how to raise the money, and then the city will contract, and I think that's fantastic. So,
Back in the conceptual plan, there was a prairie seed mix list that Anna has access to, and so on. Anything else?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, I don't have any background in doing any landscaping or anything. So I think you mentioned, Steve, that you've raised about $26,000 so far. I just want to be confident that the finances are going to work out, I guess.
I think that's the case, and in the agreement, it basically says that if it doesn't, it's not on the city to make up the shortfall. So
That will be part of our organization as well as continued fundraising and ideas to do that. So absolutely.
We actually raised more than $30,000 because $2,000 has been spent on the bike furniture that's sitting up in the Public Works garage waiting to be installed for the last 3.5 years. And about $4,000 was spent on the prescribed burn and the herbicide applications to kill the invasives. So the agreement originally said $15,000 and it was lowered to $10,000 because we since then gave $5,000 to the city already for these contracts to manage vegetation.
So I think the last line in the third number 3 here, and I think addresses what you were concerned about, that the project, if the project deposit goes below $2,500, the applicant is, and if the applicant doesn't provide additional funds, that's the mechanism to kick in additional funding for the project.
So you don't have a resolution on the table yet, but I would, or a motion, but I would suggest one. I would suggest that you recommend approval of the resolution as amended by the Park Commission with the further amendment to change the, we got to find it here, change conceptual design to construction plan. And I think that would be what the council needs, and everything would be internally consistent.
Okay, what was that second?
Yeah, I think we would basically just amend the resolution as amended by Parks Commission. It basically just gives, the clause that was added just says that Anna will work with the group to make any necessary adjustments as we go forward.
Okay.
Because she wants to make some adjustments.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense to do it that way, because otherwise we'd have to go back, I think, to council and make any changes, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, that helps for future stuff. And
Yeah.
it's, it's similar to when we
And city staff is very well equipped to determine what's a substantial change that needs council approval and what is a minor adjustment that will make a project better.
We give that authority to staff to make like text changes to things and stuff like that all the time. So I'll just make one last comment. I know that you signed up to do a memorial for your husband, and you didn't necessarily sign up to have the city develop a process for how this would work, but you have done so. And I just want to say thank you. Like, that is helpful. This will help us if this kind of thing comes up in the future, for us to kind of have worked through this and have gone through this. And I know that wasn't really what you were expecting going forward, but I'm glad that we have this process now, and we have a way that we can do this in the city if it comes up in the future. So thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you so much. I've learned quite a bit, but I did know early on through a Chad that this was an unusual request, and that they wanted to get ducks in a row, I's dotted, T's crossed, in case it were to happen again. So if somebody else had the idea. So I appreciate everybody's time and attention to the project, and excited to go forward. So thank you. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I can move approval of this as amended by Parks if we want to do that. Approval of Resolution R 2726.
Okay, did he just make a motion?
Yes, Micah
Yep.
made a motion.
Okay, I can second that.
All right. All in favor of approving Resolution 2726 as amended by the Park Department, say aye.
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 Okay, no nays. So the resolution is approved.
On behalf of our corporation, thank you
Yes,
very
thank you
much.
so
We
much.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. I see that the next item on the agenda is Arbor Day. Did you have something to say about that, Anna?
I do. Yeah, thank you for, my computer keeps shutting down here, but I just wanted to get a feel from the group. So last year we did a lot for Arbor Day because we had that, we had a couple of grants. This year we also have a few grants, not as quite as much, but we have been approached by the Urban Tree Alliance to do Arbor Day in Western Hills Park on April 24th or 25th. April 24th is Arbor Day, that's the Friday. April 25th is that Saturday after. And before I got back to them, either way, I just kind of want to talk to this group and kind of get a feel. So Western Hills Park is in the Hugo Jamestown neighborhood. We can get that Arbor Day, those trees completely funded by the Inflation Reduction Act money, so the trees would not cost the city anything, and we could get support from Urban Tree Alliance to water them all summer, kind of like we did last year in Hugo Jamestown. But that's a little bit of a departure from what we've done in Arbor Day in the past. So before I committed to that, I just wanted to get a feel from this group, since Arbor Day tends to be a core event for you guys. Before I said, yes, that sounds awesome, let's do it, I just wanted to make sure that was, something. I just wanted to have a quick, back and forth with you if you were interested if someone had a different idea, or if there was a completely separate event folks wanted to do, that's fine, because I could work with Urban Tree Alliance to get these trees planted in a different event, but I thought, well, let's pursue the Arbor Day thing if folks are interested. Although it is the second time we'd be in that Hugo Jamestown area, just because it's within that Inflation Reduction Act work area, if that makes sense. Do you guys have an opinion or have a? Okay.
I'm fine with whatever you recommend.
Okay. All right. Then I'll go ahead and start working with them on that. And we did get a grant to do more, like Steve mentioned, that the group that works in Chicory, I do write grants for that project. We did get a grant to do some work there this year for tree planting. So we may do something there as well, but that probably will be an Earth Day thing that will happen at a different time. And we'll do Arbor Day in Western Hills as part of the Inflation Reduction Act project. So, okay, great, thank you. I just wanted to throw that on the agenda and kind of have a quick discussion with this group before I move forward with them. So. All right, thank you very much. And the meat of the program, I think we can move on to.
Okay, yeah. Item C, public hearing for moving Fitchburg Forestry forward, strategic urban forestry management plan. We're having a public hearing, and I see we do have some members of the public who wish to speak, but they'll be limited to 3 minutes each. Should we start with the speakers, do you think?
Either way, if you want to start with the speakers or the previously submitted comments, it's however you'd like to do it.
All right, well, maybe why don't we start with you, Rich? I'm sure you have. Do you want to make a statement to open?
Sure. Is it green I'm on? Awesome. Yeah, well, first of all, I want to thank everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for all the comments you provided so far, and more so your inspiration, your excitement. I mean, I've been part of this process for about 9 months now, and Tree Advisory Committee, the parks folks, public members, just your enthusiasm for your green spaces and urban forests in your community. Additionally, all the comments that you provided that are, I'd say, inspirational. And that was one comment, for example, at the beginning of the report. And it was technical. And I can be a technical writer. I can also be a popular writer where it's like inspirational. And I appreciate actually your passion for actually having, for example, executive summary. That kind of makes that connection because your passion, concern that this plan just doesn't sit on a shelf was very evident with the comments. So I just want to compliment you on all your enthusiasm and passion that you sent my way. And just to give you an idea, much like the first draft that you saw before we send it out for public comments, where I go through, I take all the comments and I address them, and I'll share the same document. I don't know if that's part of the public record. I'm comfortable with that being that way, where I take a comment, for example, here about a resolution that was as an appendix in the report, and there was a clause that was left out of it. I had a previous version. Awesome. You'll see here's the change and it's corrected. Here's a comment about edit considerations already been emailed back, and then my little standard thing is I put a couple greater signs and then various revisions made, report style followed approach consistent with the type of report. So you'll see that same process, that here's the comments that you're generous to provide to me, and here's the corrections that we made. So I just want to point that out. Anything, you've seen the report. Anybody here need me to give an elevator message? Happy to do that, 5 minutes or less.
I think it might be a good idea to give a summary of the plan.
Great. So an idea of any urban forest management plan or strategic plan is you need to know something about the resource. So we did an assessment of the tree inventory that the city has. It's in very good shape. Your tree population is amazing. In the United States, the tree diversity is on the end of, if you'd say exceptional to kind of average. Yours is exceptional, a very diverse urban forest. That's the process of decades of people's selection of trees to put in public spaces. The other part is you've got canopy. You have a goal of 30%. You're growing canopy. You were at 18% a decade ago. You're at 24% now. So that's a 25% or about a 30% increase of canopy from a relative perspective. On an absolute perspective, it's a 6% increase. So things like that. We've engaged the community through surveys, through public meetings such as this, through summer festivals to get people's ideas. Partially was educational, but also informational that we can use to go develop strategic goals. And that's really the meat of this plan for a person like an Anna's capability and capacity, is to implement strategic ideas that were a result of certainly our public engagement, but also coordination with city staff. So in 3 minutes or less, that's kind of the gist of what a strategic plan is about. It's what you have from an urban forest resource. It's what you want, which is the community engagement perspective. How do you get what you want is really the plan in front of you that we're going to hear comments about tonight. And then the last part is feedback. And so as part of the plan, if that's not clear, this is just it's a working document. So it's not, here's the document, and 5 years from now we'll see you. No, it's every year you should evaluate, for example, the benchmarks. And as Mika pointed out, the benchmarks that we currently have are statistics that I have from a decade ago that I was part of developing. And we're in the process. I think I can get, from a fiscal perspective of what do we spend on a staff basis and things like that. I've got databases merged, so I think I can pull that one off to meet that goal for you. So it's just not an inflationary increase on data. It's actually, here's what we have right now. And hopefully they match, because then I feel good that way. And I didn't provide a piece of data that was just inflationarily increased. So again, I just want to point out and compliment you for all your passion, and thank you for all the comments you've sent so far, and they've been addressed in the report. If not, I'll let you know.
Could you just briefly identify the 5 strategic goals, the outcome?
Yeah, how about that? If I can share a screen here. Thank you. All right. So my spouse hates when I scroll. So bear with me on the scrolling part. That's a little slow right now. All right. All right. So we got 5 goals that we've linked to. And here's an appendix. So you've got a comprehensive community plan. So that was one of the goals, is to link this with existing documents. So whether you have a sustainability goal or plan, or a comprehensive plan or goals, that the urban forest goals themselves use a similar format. So we picked the comprehensive plan, and that's why we had goals, objectives, and policies, because it was consistent with previous community plans. And so for the first goal, for example, it was enhancing the city's urban forest by developing metrics. And so this is the benchmarks. And so, for example, the first one, it's about staffing, and looking at the staffing requirements, and addressing in what we saw from Resolution 5A is the capacity to deal with things. And so without additional staff, that's kind of a challenge. And from a perspective of benchmarking, the data that Fitchburg compared to others, you should compliment yourself for the work you actually get done with the capacity you do have. But from a staffing perspective in your population group, for example, you'd be considered understaffed from that perspective. And then there's objectives. And then goal number 2 from a high-level perspective was to integrate industry standards into planting, establishment, and maintenance of the urban forest. And I can make an analogy back to 5A, for example, the resolution that passed, is if you're introducing a prairie, you have to think about site conditions. So, for example, yeah, north-facing slope could be a challenge, and that you'd have to overcome if you on a successful project. So there's industry standards, there's best management practices, and then there's expertise of staff that they've gained through experience and knowledge and education. So 5A is really looking at these standards and integrating them. So for example, objective 2.4 talks about tree risk assessment. I know this is ongoing in the community, but I think from memory, and correct me if I'm wrong on it, you don't have an official policy per se. So that would be an objective, is to actually develop a policy. Or if some unfortunate circumstance occurs where someone was injured or property damage occurs, the first thing that's going to be asked is, does the city have a policy? And if you don't, it doesn't get you off the hook. It just, in some regards, it can make it a little more challenging to defend yourself if you did everything right. So if you have a policy and if you acted upon it, there still probably is going to be litigation, but at least it gives you a process to ideally to perhaps prevent any of these unfortunate things from occurring. Any questions so far of goal 1 or 2?
But in this one,
Yep.
it also included, I think, thinking about the content, that at this point, because we're short-staffed, we tend to be reactive. So we don't have an industry standard proactive plan. So in terms of our pruning system and in terms of the extra care that new plantings need and all those kinds of things to sustain our infrastructure the way we'd like to.
Yeah, and actually that gets at like objective 2.2. It was outside of the scope of the work to develop a urban forest operations plan. But I actually have one and be happy to share with Anna that it's something that it's a working document. You can see if it works for you. But something like that would be an objective to hit for that goal. So goal number 3 is looking at developing. You've got existing policies on the books about woodlot management that the city council passed, and I've reviewed some of those documents. And to me, I think the governance and how you went about it from my expertise level, I would say this lays out of implementing what's already been passed through governance, and then goal number 4 is about integrating urban forestry into existing city and infrastructure goals. And as I pointed out earlier, the format that we used of the goal, the objective, and the policy it makes it easier from that perspective. And I have to point out something that I haven't mentioned so far, and this was from the first draft before it went out for public review. And I don't think I really want to call it a draft as much as an internal working document where Mika made the point, and I think the Tree Advisory Committee as a whole, it's like, oh, fine, you've got these goals, these objectives, but what's the so what? How much effort? What's the impact? And what's the time frame? So this effort part where it says, for example, on 3.3, assist private landowners with woodlot management. The conclusion is, well, it's minimal. Continue hosting workshops as we have in the past and potentially create a list of woodland consultants. And so you've been ongoing with working with private landowners on their private land woodlots. And so something like this, it's existing, minimal, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, talking with Anna, that it's ongoing. Yes, it takes some time, but it's not something like where if you have to, increase staffing, and the effort could be more substantial because you have to make the case that from a budgetary perspective. And then the last goal, encourage and promote active community involvement in the urban forest planning and management. So for example, you just saw it with 5A. I would say that certainly was a pretty amazing community development of, here's something we want to make a memorial for an individual. There's a lot of resources that we have to consider, from natural resources and cultural resources and funding and things like that, and you had no process. So you saw in play with governance of that whole process playing out. We also saw with 5B, Arbor Day, where you identify volunteers, a location, a tree that you plant. And so those things are really about engaging and really getting people in the community that are part of urban forestry to actively get them engaged.
Okay, thank you, Rich.
You're welcome.
So one of the things that we've struggled a lot with is new development. We're a fast-growing community. And so where does tree preservation come in?
You've got existing ordinances on the books right now and policies that deal with development of properties and when they have a plot or a plat that goes that's proposed.
Right.
There is some tree preservation that's part of that.
But that's very specific.
Correct.
So, and there's all kinds of development that happens all the time, including what the city does. And right now, at least historically, trees haven't always been included, even in some of the park improvement plans. Trees aren't always included in the initial planning phase. So I just see that as really important.
Yes, I agree.
And I wonder if we can be more specific about that in some place in the strategic recommendations.
Sure. Is there, from just memory, I'm thinking, and help me out if getting to that level of detail that you're talking about isn't existing as one of the goals or objectives right now. It was from the ordinance perspective that we reviewed. We have a discussion on with ordinances in these various chapters. But you point out a very applicable thing that isn't, I would say, is not in the plan right now, is actually addressing trees and construction. I would say it's incumbent upon the city forester when development occurs around a tree. It's like, how do we best integrate the tree's needs from a root system damage avoidance perspective?
Well, I think if it isn't part of and I think the city does a lot more with that now. I think it's improved a lot. So I would just like to kind of see where we are with that and where we could improve more.
Well,
go ahead.
I think that's part of what Rich is saying with the technical document, because, for example, just with a police station happening, there were some trees identified to be saved, which is awesome. And then, we spec'd the fence to be put up and made sure it happened. And as part of the site prep for that process, that metal fence went up around those oak trees. You can see it over here. I kind of wish it'd be bigger, but it'll do. And that's part of our process in terms of when we're reviewing plans and things of that nature. So I think that's included in the idea of the technical manual type of thing.
Is that goal 4? Well,
Yeah, what I'm hearing is proposing is actually creating an objective about trees and construction. And I'd propose from here is create an objective 2.5 that talks about city trees and the implementation of best management practices for trees and construction.
And that would be fine.
Yeah, and then link that to the technical manual.
That'd be great.
And as I just mentioned, at no additional cost, I'll send you a document I've actually been working on the past week that actually lays out a section on trees and construction.
Yeah, that would be, that would cover it. And it'd be more formal than what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Last week, I think you received a bunch of suggested changes to the document, and I want to know, were those incorporated? Because I just looking at your executive summary, it really isn't an executive summary based on any I've ever seen, and I didn't see any change in the draft that was in the packet.
No, that's the draft that's part of public review.
Yeah.
And so
the stuff we gave you last week,
Yeah,
is it in there?
It is. So here's my draft on 220. And so, yes, it is. And as I pointed out earlier, it's not in your packet because the document that's part of the packet is part of the public review first draft. But here's the draft that I'll be incorporating, and by the end of this month, I've already got in there the inspirational message of the executive summary as sent to me. This was version 1.6, I believe. And so this is verbatim. It may have had some minor edits from grammatical, but it's in there.
Okay, good. I just didn't know what was going on. So.
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that question. And the other thing is there's some comments about a few changes on the introduction. Those have been included.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, and so what you'll see is, as with the the work in progress before we send out for public review, using the process of here's all the comments that were sent to me, so that packet that I received earlier this week or late last week,
Yeah.
they'll have how I addressed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And it'll be turned around again, the comments, I would have to say, by probably the end of next week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
You bet.
Great.
Could we maybe do the public comment, just because I think that might spur
Yes,
additional
I think
questions?
they've been waiting for a while. We have two public commentators. The first one up is Dennis Moore. Is Dennis here?
I think he just wants us to read his comment. I think he submitted it.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. He hasn't checked the speak line. Okay. His comment is, the survey comments and past resolution R1718 must all be included and published in this policy proposal. You did publish some comments, Rich.
Yes, in this plan it's summarized, and so the heart of that question is verbatim, the comments. And the decision was, from the city's perspective, is not to have them in this plan, because it's about 40 pages of comments written. But I have them all compiled, and Anna has the list to send out. So if anybody wants to make a request for that document.
We can give it to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will just add, if this has come up a couple of times, I think in other meetings too, if people have questions about the public comment list, feel free to reach out to me and we can talk with them, or city administration can talk with them. But there are reasons why we do and don't include survey responses and things. So please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about it, but thanks.
Okay, and we have one other public comment from Patrick Cheney. He says, survey comments and past resolution R1718 must all be included and published in this policy proposal. So basically saying the same thing. And so Micah has addressed that concern.
And then I think there's probably some people here who want to come up and speak.
Oh, does anyone else want to speak?
If they've
I didn't get any other forms from anybody.
Oh. Okay.
Come on up. You can fill out a form. We'll make you fill out a form after, but.
Yeah.
Okay. Elizabeth Thompson, South Saline Road, Greenfield neighborhood. Last week I spoke on the Gold Park addition and the needs for maintenance in that area. I do like the idea of a woodlot management policy, and in particular also under number 2, it talked about tree risk management policy. I think both those things are missing. There's a lot of dead tree debris in the Gold Park addition, particularly near my property, as well as invasive species. And I think we need to look at fire risk as being a major thing with these woodlots. I'm not even sure how many we have currently. I would include the Gold Park addition as one of those woodlots. And then, of course, I've been speaking with Micah and Anna, and I'm really grateful for them taking my emails. And for the Parks Commission reaching out through Sue Easterday, and to clarify that there was some comments made at the last Parks Commission that was sort of wanting to almost restrict some things. I guess it was sort of decided that it would, I don't want to be premature about saying stuff, or putting words in anybody's mouth, but that the implications of this strategy management plan are not just for the urban development area. They are for the city as a whole. And I want to encourage people to really comment. I mean, I put next door meeting post about this meeting. It got viewed close to 50 times. I'm the only person here today. It may be because it was at 4 p.m. I think people are just trying to get their heads around it. So I know that there's a revised draft coming up, and I really hope the public's going to have time to review that plan and make sure that we get our questions answered. Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate the presentation today, Roger, and your hard work. And I totally appreciate you including Chapter 54 because I've never read that before. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers from the audience? Doesn't look like there are. Anybody else on the committee have anything they want to say about the report? Linda, for example.
I don't think so at this point, but thank you. Thanks for taking all the feedback and this
Sorry,
valid time. Thank you.
I just have one more. So just to speak to that, so I agree. I think if I had to go back and do this all over again, the name urban forestry plan. So we have in the city, we have the urban service area, which is the area that is open for development, and then the vast majority of the southern half of the city, is just agricultural land and things like that. But there are neighborhoods there are woodlots there are trees there that also need to be managed. And so I think and our tree canopy goal is only applying it to the urban service area, but we also are managing trees outside of the urban service area. So just to have some sort of language somewhere in this plan that kind of states that even though this is called the Urban Forestry Management Plan, it applies to the whole city. And we are managing woodlots outside of the urban service area. We are managing trees for the whole city. And we just want to make sure that the whole city is included as part of this plan. It's mostly just a distinction of how we use language across the city. I think we want the plan to apply to the entire city, but just to call that out and just make sure that that's included could be just a good edit to have, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thanks. So noted.
Okay, thanks. I guess that concludes our public hearing on the Strategic Urban Forestry Management Plan.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone as well. A lot of people put a lot of time into reviewing this, and I really appreciate all the time and all the energy to really look through the entire document, and it's much better for all that. So thank you.
Next up is the report from the department.
All right, so I did include one in the packet, and basically what this month really entailed was getting spring tree planting out the door. I just put it out to bid right before I came to this meeting. So let me get let's see here. Get my computer woken up here. Come on. So if we go to that part of the packet, oh goodness. So basically the highlights of the month, we're working on this strategic plan and getting spring tree planting out the door. I will say we did get some good news. We did receive the Gold Leaf Award for our Arbor Day last year. So, which thank you for everyone who participated in that. And thank you, Micah, for letting us use a picture of you and your family for the press release. That was really nice of you, even though we didn't really give you a choice.
Anytime.
Yeah. So anyway, just congrats to everyone on getting the Gold Leaf Award. That's the second time we've got it in the last 5 years, which is awesome. So thank you to everyone who participated in that. We also found out we got a grant from we got another Million Trees grant that will mostly go for Chicory Meadows and maybe a few other things. So that's really great. And as I told you, Linda, last Parks Commission meeting, part of what makes those grant proposals so strong is all of our volunteer hours that we have, which is really significant. So thank you for everyone who works on that. And I'm now incorporated with the Public Works Department, so it will be a little bit easier to do what you guys were suggesting with the tree preservation projects, because I'm in the construction meetings, which is kind of nice. So that's a plus. We did we did lose a lot of trees at EAB this year, so we're going to contract some removals. So I got that together, and we actually are going to be working with a contractor to do some tree removals for emerald ash borer mitigation purposes. All of those replacement trees are on the spring tree planting contract, so we will be able to replace them all, which is great. And we did I did a little bit of work with natural areas in terms of getting stuff ready for next year. And we have some volunteers, some of whom are here tonight, that are doing all of the work behind us, getting the free plants from the Ripple Effects Plant Dame program. So that's another great thing that's happening. Does anyone have any questions or comments? All right.
No, I just can't help but myself, but comment about the wonderful work that you do, collaborating with other agencies to get resources to the city to help supplement our budget for trees and for volunteers. I know all of that also takes an incredible amount of time, and I think it really pays off. And it doesn't replace the extra staff that we need to do what we'd like for the city, but it has a huge impact. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda. You're one of the volunteers, so. All right. Well, that's kind of the highlights of the staff report. We're going to have a really busy spring, but I think it's going to be really productive. I'm really excited. We're going to be finalizing this plan, hopefully, and really moving forward. The tree planting will be 263 for just street trees and terraces. So it'll be a big planting again this spring, and we'll follow it up with another big planting in parks. So we've got a lot of new trees on the way.
Great, thank you, Anna. Are there any announcements?
I will get Arbor Day together and then get that to you as soon as possible, the details. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any more comments they want to make before we adjourn? Okay, I guess we're ready. Yes, Micah?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay.
I second it.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have we've approved adjournment at 5:11 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.